90 Day Fiance has many familiar faces throughout the various shows, and after years of struggling in their relationships, one star needs to rethink their presence, despite being a cornerstone of the franchise. While there have been many 90 Day franchise stars who have found love on and surrounding the show, some haven't been as lucky in finding, or keeping, a relationship. Although the point of being on the 90 Day Fiancé franchise typically isn't to find a relationship, but instead share a relationship that's already been found, many of the stars wind up finding love on the shows. Some who have come into the franchise in a relationship they're ready to be more serious about wind up struggling in keeping their relationships moving forward. As the international divide can be difficult for couples to broach, the 90 Day Fiancé stars who find themselves making it through their long-distance relationships and end up together on screen can be interesting to watch. Adjusting to being together in their real lives, some 90 Day stars struggle to stay steady, like one star who's had a tough time on their journey. Although Darcey Silva, who's been on the 90 Day franchise with her sister Darcey Silva for years, has been one of the most well-known stars, she's also had tough luck in relationships. Darcey and Darcey have both struggled in their own ways, but Darcey's journey has been more interesting than her sister's at times. Each of her relationships has been dramatic in its own way. From her connection with Jesse Meester to her current marriage to Georgi Rusev, Darcey has struggled to find love that lasts, respects her, and wants to build a life. Despite knowing that she's currently in a marriage she values, Darcey's journey in the past has been genuinely difficult to watch for many viewers. Repeating tough patterns and allowing disrespect, Darcey's struggled. Darcey's dynamic with Georgi is concerning for the future. Although Darcey and Georgi are married, her dynamic with her husband isn't something that most viewers have been interested in keeping up with. Currently starring on 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After, Darcey allows Georgi to talk down to her in a way that's uncomfortable. Their power imbalance often echoes Darcey's past struggles, which makes it tough to see a world where they move forward. Darcey may be ready to move on from the 90 Day franchise. While Darcey may be allowing herself to repeat her patterns on her own, it seems like her time on screen could be part of the problem. Darcey may be looking for relationships that would work better on screen than in real life, which makes it feel like taking a step back from the 90 Day Fiancé franchise could be the right choice. Some weeks, 90 Day Fiancé delivers background noise. Other weeks, it sets off chain reactions that make you wonder if any of these couples have ever had a genuine conversation outside of cameras. 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After? Season 9 Episode 10 landed firmly in the latter category, a slow-burn car crash where every storyline managed to bleed into the next. Kara's teary meltdown flowed neatly into Elizabeth's discovery that her husband is basically the FBI, which dovetailed into Jasmine and Matt's relocation bombshell, before the hour closed on Brandon and Julia learning, again, that Betty treats weddings like hostile takeovers. It all began with Kara and Guillermo's trip, billed as a chance to reset their marriage, but it quickly unraveled into accusations and recriminations. Guillermo leaned into the cheating narrative so hard you'd think he was auditioning for a Maury reboot, while Kara tried to flip the script by hinting maybe he was the guilty one. The confrontation reached its peak when she begged him to look her in the eye and deny it. He did, but the denial landed with all the authenticity of a bad reality audition tape. 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After? Season 9 has been wild. He whined about her staying out late, she claimed she was doing the hard work of networking for her singing career, and then the tears came. Kara insisted she no longer believed Guillermo was her person, slammed the hotel door on the way out, and left him blinking in shock like a man surprised to see the fire after playing with matches. These two need to cut their ties and move on. The back and forth is exhausting. From there, the energy only got more chaotic at Yara's launch party, which was less about whatever she was peddling this week and more about blowing up every relationship in the room. Elizabeth decided to confront Alexei about allegedly making rude comments about Lauren's body, but before that conversation could even land, Andre chimed in with one of the most reckless admissions of the season: he'd been snooping through Elizabeth's phone. In a franchise full of bad decisions, this one ranks high. Lauren's disgust was immediate, Elizabeth's fury was volcanic, and Andre suddenly looked like a man who realized he'd not only detonated his marriage but also still had a $75,000 financial sinkhole waiting for him at home. Yara, meanwhile, spun in the background like a low-rent Kris Jenner, furious that the fights were stealing focus from her party. It would have been sad if she didn't treat business ventures like fast fashion, here today, gone tomorrow, and forgotten by the next episode. And while Elizabeth was questioning whether her husband had any respect for boundaries, Jasmine was busy questioning whether her new partner even trusted her enough to share his future plans. Matt casually dropped the bombshell that he's moving to Florida, something he'd apparently known for a while but decided not to tell Jasmine until now. Her reaction was equal parts hurt and disbelief, and honestly, who could blame her? They lived together, yet he was planning a move in silence. Jasmine needs to ditch everyone. Still, you could see the wheels turning, Jasmine cutting ties with Michigan, ditching Gino's ghost once and for all, and setting herself up in Florida with Matt. The preview all but promised a bombshell revelation, and if that ends up being a pregnancy announcement, Jasmine's grip on the spotlight will be secure for the rest of the season. Gino is out here playing the role of a scorned soap villain, swearing vengeance while cutting off family members with melodramatic texts like "have a nice life." The man has lost his wife, lost his dignity, and is now losing relatives, but still thinks he's in control. At this point, Gino's confidence is its own reality TV subplot, tragic, baffling, and somehow still entertaining. What does he have to gain from proving Jasmine is a villain? He has older seasons of their time on the show to prove that he's been no oil painting of a husband. He's a disturbed individual. Just in case things weren't messy enough, Brandon and Julia's attempt at a second wedding ceremony reminded everyone that Betty doesn't need an invitation to make herself the star of their storyline. With Julia's parents involved this time, it should have been a sweet celebration. Instead, Betty slipped right back into micromanagement mode, dictating everything like she was the producer of the event rather than the mother of the groom. Brandon and Julia, with support from Julia's mother, finally snapped back, but the preview made it clear the meddling won't stop there. Brandon needs to have a word with his parents. Ron and Betty appeared to be praying for bad weather to derail the ceremony, as if divine sabotage was their last hope at regaining control. The only thing ruined will be their spot in the family photo album. What tied all these stories together was the glaring lack of trust. Kara and Guillermo's marriage crumbled because they couldn't believe each other anymore. Elizabeth realized Andre was violating her privacy while claiming to protect her. Jasmine learned Matt had been holding back life-changing news while still expecting her loyalty. Brandon and Julia struggled against parents who couldn't let go of control. Each couple was tested in different ways, but the common denominator was mistrust, whether between spouses, friends, or in-laws. By the time credits rolled, nearly every storyline was dangling over a cliff. Kara was gone in tears, Elizabeth stormed out, Jasmine was left stewing, Brandon braced for yet another round of parental sabotage, and Gino was plotting revenge in text messages no one will ever take seriously. It was 90 Day Fiance, Happily Ever After? Season 9 has stumbled at times, but this episode remembered the formula. It's not about love stories or happy endings. It's about mistrust, egos, and the inevitable explosions that come from couples who are better suited to dueling than dating. The episode proved that when the cast is messy enough, you don't need fancy twists, the drama writes itself. And if there's any justice, the next installment will finally be the one where Gino's smug little grin gets wiped clean off his face. 90 Day Fiancé legends Darcey Silva and Georgi Rusev have taken their relationship to the next level. During Season 9 of 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After, TLC alums Darcey and Georgi invited fans to travel with them to Georgi's hometown in Bulgaria to celebrate a long-awaited homecoming to his family. Darcey first joined the 90 Day Fiancé universe in 2017 during the debut season of 90 Day Fiancé, Before the 90 Days, the same season that introduced viewers to her Happily Ever After. Co-stars Jasmine Pineda and Gino Palazzolo. After seasons on the international dating show, Darcey and her twin sister, Darcey Silva, received their own spin-off show, aptly titled. While her 90-day relationships with both Jessie Meester and Tom Brooks both ended before an engagement, fans were thrilled to see Darcey star find her lasting connection with massage therapist Georgi Rusev during Darcey and Stacey Season 1. While it's safe to say the couple had their fair share of ups and downs, they found their footing on 90 Day, The Last Resort Season 2, choosing to stay together through it all and landing themselves a spot on 90 Day Finest, Happily Ever After? Scroll to find out if Darcey and Georgi are still together, how they met, and what's next for the couple. Yes, Darcey and Georgi are still together. While their trip to Bulgaria on 90 Day Fiance, Happily Ever After? Season 9 has definitely put stress on their relationship. It is clear from both of their social media profiles that the married couple is still going strong. Darcey, Stacey, and Georgi are all active influencers who frequently partner with local beauty establishments, confirming to fans that they are all in the same place at the same time. As recently as September 3rd, Connecticut's CKC Salon and Keratin Bar posted, "We loved pampering our favorite twins, and with fresh color and keratin treatments they are as gorgeous inside as they are out. We truly enjoyed our time together and can't wait to see them again soon." During an interview with Parade, Darcey and Georgi reminisced about their unorthodox meet-cute. According to Georgi, he had watched Darcey and Jessie's journey on 90 Day Fiance, before the 90 days with his girlfriend at the time, and decided to slide into Darcey's Instagram DMs while she was dating Tom. As he put it, all the men, they get hooked to the show because their girlfriend at the time, they're watching and they don't have a choice, you know? They exchanged messages that walked the line between friendly and flirty until, eventually, Georgi saw that he and Darcey would both be at the Super Bowl and asked Darcey to meet in person. Darcey and Georgi got married on November 11, 2023, finding significance in 11/11, the same way that 90 Day Fiancé Season 11 stars Sarper and Shekinah Given did for the franchise's very first wedding the next year. Considering the day, Darcey told People, "We envisioned a beautiful November 11th wedding date because the number 11 is close to our hearts. It's a manifesting number, and at 11:11 on the clock, we always make a wish." She added, "It was also in honor of my brother Michael, who passed in 1998, just like our fashion brand House of 11 and our first company, 11th Entertainment. We wanted the date close to our hearts." While they have traditionally broadcast their relationship for all to see, Darcey and Georgi had a private wedding with only 15 guests in attendance. Later, she announced to her fans, "I'm thrilled to share that Georgi and I got married on our special day of November 11th. I've been on a long journey to find love, and in the end, love wins. I'm so blessed for you all to be a part of my journey in life, love, and happiness. Thank you for all the love and support. Stay tuned. Love, Darcey, hugs and kisses." Welcome back to our channel, where we bring you the latest updates, news, and in-depth coverage of everything happening in the 90 Day Fiancé universe. Today's focus is a story that has fans deeply concerned, frustrated, and even heartbroken. The headline says it all: he's not okay. This 90 Day Fiancé star looks absolutely miserable in his relationship, but still refuses to leave. Now, reality TV often blurs the line between entertainment and real-life struggles, but in this particular case, it's becoming harder and harder to ignore the pain etched across this cast member's face. Viewers have picked up on the subtle cues, the body language, and the way his energy has shifted dramatically since the beginning of his journey on the show. At first, everything seemed hopeful. He entered the relationship with big dreams of love, marriage, and building a future together. But as time went on, the cracks began to show. Small disagreements turned into heated arguments. Promises of compromise turned into controlling behavior. What was once a love story now looks like a cautionary tale of what happens when someone feels trapped. Fans have pointed out the recurring moments where his discomfort is obvious. Whether it's the way he avoids eye contact, the way he stays quiet during confrontations, or even the nervous laughter he uses to mask the tension, these are the signs of someone who doesn't feel safe or happy in their relationship. Yet despite all of this, he hasn't walked away. And that is the biggest question of all. Why stay in a relationship that is visibly draining your happiness and energy? Why continue to sacrifice your own well-being for someone who doesn't seem to respect your boundaries? There are several possible answers. One could be fear. Fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear of what the public will think if he admits that his love story was a mistake. Another factor might be financial. Many of these cast members rely on the show for income, and their relationship storyline is part of their livelihood. Walking away could mean walking away from both love and stability. But perhaps the most heartbreaking reason of all is hope. He might still believe that things will get better. He might be clinging to the idea that the partner he fell in love with is still there, hidden beneath the arguments and control. That kind of hope can be powerful, but it can also be dangerous when it keeps someone stuck in an unhealthy situation. In countless scenes, fans have taken to social media to express concern. Posts on Reddit, Instagram, and Twitter highlight screenshots of him looking exhausted, sitting in silence while his partner speaks over him, or sighing heavily when yet another fight breaks out. The phrase "he's not okay" has become almost a rallying cry from fans who feel protective over him. The irony is that while viewers at home can see his pain, he doesn't seem ready to admit it to himself. This is what makes the situation even more complex. He's defending the relationship publicly, even when it's clear that privately, he's struggling. That defense raises the question, how much of this is love, and how much of it is denial? As the show continues to document his journey, fans are left to wonder just how long he can keep living like this. Is there a breaking point? Or will he continue to stay, no matter how miserable he appears? Stick with us, because in the second half of this deep dive, we'll explore the psychological reasons people remain in toxic relationships, what his future on the show might look like, and whether there's still a chance for him to turn things around before it's too late. Now, let's go deeper into the psychology behind situations like this. Experts often explain that individuals in unhealthy or toxic relationships may develop something called trauma bonding. This is when cycles of conflict, apology, and reconciliation create a confusing attachment that makes it very difficult to walk away. The emotional highs and lows become addictive, almost like a roller coaster. One moment they're fighting, the next there's passion and promises to do better. Over time, this cycle becomes normalized, leaving the person feeling stuck. Another factor is self-esteem. When someone has been repeatedly criticized, belittled, or made to feel like they can't do better, they may start to believe that narrative. In this star's case, his partner often dominates conversations, dismisses his feelings, and pushes him into decisions he's clearly uncomfortable with. If that happens long enough, it can erode confidence to the point where he genuinely believes he has no choice but to stay. And of course, let's not forget the cultural and personal factors. Many cast members come from different backgrounds where family expectations, traditions, or immigration processes complicate the idea of leaving. Ending the relationship might mean more than just heartbreak. It could mean legal issues, financial instability, or disappointing loved ones back home. But the biggest clue that he's truly unhappy comes from his body language. Body language experts have analyzed clips of him during the season, pointing out his slouched posture, the way he crosses his arms defensively, and even the long pauses before he responds to his partner. These are not signs of a man in love, they are signs of someone trying to emotionally protect himself from constant stress. Still, the show thrives on drama, and producers know that this storyline will keep fans glued to the screen. Every episode, viewers hope for a turning point. Will he finally stand up for himself? Will he finally put his happiness first? Or will he continue to sacrifice everything just to avoid confrontation? Interestingly, fans have also noted how his friends and family react in the series. Whenever they meet his partner, their concerns are obvious. They ask him if he's really happy, they caution him about the red flags, and some even urge him to reconsider the relationship altogether. Yet, time and time again, he defends his partner. This is a classic sign of someone who knows the relationship is unhealthy but isn't ready to accept it. So where does that leave him now? Well, unless something changes, he risks losing not just his happiness but also his identity. Viewers fear that if he stays much longer, he'll become a shell of the man he once was, tired, drained, and emotionally shut down. But there is always hope. Many former 90 Day Fiance cast members have gone through painful relationships on the show, only to eventually find the strength to leave and rebuild their lives. Some are now thriving, proving that while the journey may be difficult, it is possible to start over. The question is, will he reach that point? Will he recognize that he deserves peace, respect, and happiness? Or will he continue to cling to a relationship that the world can see is breaking him down? Fans are watching closely, rooting for him to make the right choice. Because at the end of the day, no matter how entertaining the show may be, his well-being matters more than the pick to. This story is ongoing, and we'll continue to follow it closely. Make sure to subscribe and stay tuned as we bring you the latest developments, updates, and behind-the-scenes insights from the 90 Day Fiancé world. In the previous parts, we explored how his struggles are visible to the audience, the psychological reasons why people remain in toxic relationships, and the warning signs seen through his body language and interactions. But there's more to this story, and it's important to understand the bigger picture. Let's begin with how public perception is playing a role in this drama. Social media is filled with commentary from fans who feel invested in his journey. Every clip of him looking drained or upset sparks thousands of comments. Some urge him to leave, others speculate about what goes on behind the scenes, and a few even criticize him for not taking action sooner. This kind of public pressure can make things harder, not easier. Imagine being in a difficult relationship while millions of strangers weigh in on your every move. That kind of spotlight can push someone further into denial, just to prove everyone wrong. Another point to consider is editing. Reality TV is carefully crafted. Producers decide which moments to highlight and which to leave out. It's possible that we're only seeing the worst parts of the relationship, creating the image that he's completely miserable. But even if editing exaggerates the drama, his expressions, his tone, and his silence can't all be manufactured. The unhappiness feels too real, too consistent across multiple episodes. And here's something fans often miss: sometimes, staying doesn't mean weakness, it means strategy. He might be quietly waiting for the right time to make his move. Perhaps he wants to finish filming the season, secure his finances, or resolve personal matters before walking away. Leaving in the middle of production could complicate contracts, legal agreements, or even visa statuses. So while it looks like he's stuck, it could be that he's simply being careful. Still, the emotional toll is undeniable. Prolonged stress in relationships like this often leads to physical consequences: loss of sleep, changes in appetite, low energy, even health problems. Fans who have watched him from his first appearance on the show notice how different he looks now compared to then. He once appeared excited, hopeful, and confident. Now, his posture is heavier, his eyes seem tired, and his voice lacks the same spark. These changes are red flags that his emotional burden is taking a serious toll. The saddest part is the cycle. Episodes often show a fight, followed by a brief moment of peace, followed by yet another fight. He apologizes when he shouldn't have to. He gives in when he clearly wants to say no. He stays quiet when his feelings deserve to be heard. This pattern repeats so often that it has become predictable, and fans feel like they're watching someone lose themselves one episode at a time. But here's the truth: change has to come from him. Fans can post, friends can advise, family can warn, but until he decides that enough is enough, nothing will change. This is the hardest reality of relationships like these. Outsiders can see the problem clearly, but the person inside the relationship has to find the courage to take that final step. And that brings us to the most important question of all: what does the future look like for him? If he chooses to stay, it's likely that things will only get harder. The tension will increase, his unhappiness will grow, and eventually, the cracks in the relationship may become impossible to hide. But if he chooses to leave, there is a long road ahead too. Healing from a toxic relationship isn't quick, it takes time, support, and self-reflection. He would need to rebuild his confidence, rediscover his independence, and learn to love himself again. Many former cast members have walked this path. At first, it was messy and painful. But later, they came out stronger, happier, and healthier. If he follows that example, there's hope for him too. For now, though, all we can do is watch, analyze, and wait. The cameras are still rolling, the story is still unfolding, and every episode reveals a little more about just how much he's struggling. One thing is certain, no matter what happens next, fans won't forget the moments where his unhappiness was written all over his face. Over the years, 90 Day Fiance has showcased many relationships that appeared toxic, one-sided, or even emotionally damaging. And yet, time and time again, cast members stayed long after fans begged them to walk away. Remember Danielle and Mohammed? Despite the humiliation, the mistrust, and the constant fights, Danielle clung to the hope that Mohammed would eventually come around. Fans saw her pain clearly, but Danielle wasn't